Welcome, folks. This is the Independent Center podcast. I will be your host today, Daniel Radcliffe. I am beside myself to have such wonderful guests today. Today, our focus will be peer support, what that looks like and how it helps. I am really grateful to have with me today. I'll have you all introduce yourself because some last names I do not remember. We'll start with Marco. Could you introduce yourself and your role at the IC?
Good morning. My name is Marco Ghioti, and I am a peer support specialist for the VIC program, the Veteran in Charge program for the Independent Center.
Awesome. Thank you. Gail, could you introduce yourself?
My name is Gail Milton, and I am the peer support for Teller County Outreach, and I do cross disabilities, VA, and also TBI. And by the way, it's TBI month.
Yes, it is National TBI Awareness Month.
We just keep forgetting about our ribbon.
Right.
Because of the TBI.
Got you. Marco is awesome.
Yes, he is.
So, Carrie.
Good morning. I'm Carrie Copen-Stark, and I am the Independent Living Outreach Specialist. I cover Woodland Park, Green Mountain Falls, Bailey, Colorado, working with consumers there. And I'm also peer support specialist for the Colorado Springs area at the Independent Center.
Awesome. And last but not least, Kevin.
I'm Kevin Corrigan. I'm a peer support specialist at the Independent Center, and I also facilitate our traumatic brain injury support group.
Awesome. So let's start with the VIC program. In our previous podcast, we had an opportunity to sit down with some of the individuals from the VIC program, and they spoke very highly of this one particular individual, the gatekeeper, per se.
Ashley's not here right now. So
They were talking about you, Marco. You know you do a great job. So, Marco, what is your role in VIC, and could you just describe that for me?
So my official role in VIC really goes to support groups and advocacies for our consumers, whether it be benefits, whether it's gaining access to other things in the community versus or financial needs. I'm there to provide every resource I can find, dig up, or manipulate to help our individuals out. With that, I also serve as a bit of a punching bag. Veterans walk around with a lot on their shoulders, and there's not often a lot of opportunities to relieve that burden onto someone else without finding someone they can relate to. So, me being a veteran myself, it's easier for them to communicate to me their issues without them feeling like they're whining about it.
Understand. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your service as a veteran.
Everybody needs a job.
Hey, man, that was more than a job. So, with that being said, what are some of the resources that you are familiar with that the VIC program has to offer, and if you could describe some of them?
So, the Veteran in Charge program in its official role provides the program itself and the team acts as a mediator between the Veteran Affairs and the services provided to consumers. So, Veteran in Charge pretty much oversees veteran-directed care, and that's the services that the VA offers to our consumers. What that package is depending on the extent of your disability or disabilities, your age, and so on, you may qualify for a monthly budget that you can use to help with everyday things, house cleaning, CNAs coming home, or errands being run.
Gotcha.
Anything that you and I can do independently.
Yes.
Versus what they can't do independently.
Right.
We try to help them staff all those positions so that every day they don't feel like they're locked in a box, because a lot of our guys feel like they're locked in a box.
Understandable. That's definitely understandable. And then, so what brought you to this particular position? Let's get a little bit of history, because you definitely have a really good
That's a
background.
long.
Hey, we got time.
Swerving road. So, anyone recently discharged from the military, coming back into a world they're used to protecting and not living in, it's hard to find a new routine, a new groove, a new niche where you're gonna excel. And that was my issue. So, I did the steps. I was injured, so my career ended before I really wanted it to. So I had no idea where I was going. So, I checked the boxes. Okay, what do they say do? Go to school. So I went to school. What's the next step? Oh yeah, get a job. So I got a job.
What was that job? Because that's
So I was able to use a GI Bill to go to school, but I still needed something to occupy my time. So I was a mechanic for a Volvo dealership for about 18 months. And I was good at it. I've always liked working with my hands and things like that. But I kept on noticing, like with my visits to the VA hospital as a patient and just being around other veterans, I noticed there was a need. There was a vacuum, and there was a lot of people, a lot of good people who can outshine most other people I know, falling through the cracks. Yeah. So, reluctantly, because I'm an introvert by nature, I like to keep to myself. I like to keep myself busy with manual labor, carpentry, things like that. So I started getting involved, and I started just helping whoever I ran into, whether it be from small talk conversation or observing something I might catch from my peripheral.
right.
Right. And I started realizing that I could probably help more people if I put more time and energy into this.
Yeah.
And I felt that was a responsibility for me. I've always felt like if I can't elevate the person next to me, I'm not doing my job.
Man, powerful.
And so one thing led to another. I quickly veered off from everyday blue-collar work to ending up at a community center in Chicago. And I was actually in there to find resources for somebody else, and I walked out with a job. And I didn't want to take it at first because I felt like it was a lot of responsibility for me, for someone to rely on me to provide for their well-being as far as work culture, employment,
Yes.
Money management. It's something I initially did not want to do, and it didn't matter what I wanted to do. It's
Right.
what the road was leading me down.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped fighting it, and again, I started working with a community center in Chicago, which led to other contracts with other nonprofits across the city, and landing some pretty big grants that benefited a lot of veterans, which I'm very happy about and I don't regret. Wow. And then I backed away. I backed away for a couple years. I was taking too much in, so I decided to be a little selfish again.
Okay.
And started working in carpentry again and making that my life goal until I think it was 2013, I found out that an old Army buddy, he was more of a mentor, was at the last leg of his life with pancreatic cancer. And he lived out here, and his wife had been gone for many years, and they never really had children. I don't know, I couldn't let him transition on his own.
Understandable.
So came out here, worked with him for a while.
Take your time, man. It's cool.
Eventually he passed, and I had no direction. And long story short, I linked up with this organization called The Mission Continues. And they provide an awesome service for veterans across the country as far as giving them a new purpose in life. And did a few service projects with them. We do about 2 or 3 a month, depending on the time we have. And those service projects, basically area beautification and installing new things for elementary schools, high schools, public parks, things of that nature. I was approached by my platoon leader, and he asked me if I was interested in this fellowship program they had. And I asked him more about it. I was like, what is this fellowship program? Because the only fellowship I was ever familiar with was post-grad fellowships in school. And he told me that what the fellowship program did was link us up with community services and public organizations to help us do more for the community.
Okay.
And it goes for about 6 months. So I figured, why not? I'm lost most of the day anyway. I need to find a fire again. So I applied and I was accepted. And it was my responsibility to look for nonprofits in the Colorado Springs area to see who I might be able to work with. So, I'm scrolling through Indeed, Google. Nothing's really standing out to me until I see the Independence Center. I click on the website, and the thing that stood out to me was the philosophy. It was, you don't do for anybody. You just give them the tools they need.
Right. We do it with them.
Yeah, exactly. And that caught my eye. So I called Marsha Unruh, my program manager, and we spoke a little bit on the phone, and we really had a very good conversation, which is pretty difficult for me to do with someone I don't know.
Right.
I came in a week later to introduce myself. We spoke some more after speaking, and Marsha showing me around the center. She was on board with it. I mean, who wouldn't be? It was free labor at the time, I was on board. I liked what I saw. I saw the genuine care that everybody in the agency had, which is rare to see such a huge nonprofit with so many people who are actually emotionally invested in their job.
Yeah.
So did the fellowship for 6 months, and during that 6 months, it was a great experience with the team, with Marsha, with a lot of the other departments at the Independence Center. To when my 6 months was over, I continued to volunteer 2 months afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get enough of a good thing.
Right.
I
found it.
I was going home every night knowing that somebody's in a better place.
Yeah.
So Marsha and I spoke, and we fought, and we scraped, and we did the math, and I said, I want to continue working here. And she said, I want you to continue to work it here. So one thing led to another, and a few battles back and forth on staffing, and can we afford this?
Yes.
It finally came through, and I've been working in the program ever since officially.
Right. And I'm sure a lot of vets and the Independence Center are very grateful for your presence, man. And thank you so much once again, thank you for your service. Right. Just to change gears a little bit, we're going to look into our outreach out there in Taylor County. Teller County. I say Taylor because I'm from the country.
I say Taylor too. I'm from West Virginia.
There we go.
Taylor.
Right. So Gail, If you just want to give us a little background of who you are and what is your role with the Independent Center.
Absolutely. Gail Melton, and I've lived in Colorado Springs all my life. Born and raised here. And my father was military, born out at Fort Carson, actually. And went to college here, got a BA in arts and got a BA in sociology, and worked with computers, Macintoshes, and worked at the, after I graduated from college, I worked at the Coin Gallery in Colorado Springs. Worked there for 10 years, paid off my college tuition, which is a big major deal. And then when in the middle of all of that, I worked at, well, the Numismatic Association is what it's called. I was rear-ended going from one of my classes back home again, and I was in a really intense automobile accident, and that was around 1991, and was told I had what's called a double contre coup. Did not understand any of this at all, because no one ever explains these things to you, and I didn't have an education around it. I just knew that when I was walking around in a place that I had grown up in, I didn't know where I was going most of the time. And I didn't, here I lived here all my life and didn't know where I was at. And that was really scary. I forgot people's names. I had forgotten a lot of things, and was not even able to speak at the time.
Wow.
And it took me a few years to learn to speak. I was taking therapy, and then I heard some therapy groups, and I heard about the Independent Center offering TBI groups. I went there and started taking their groups there, and I was very impressed, because everything I had taken before didn't get me anywhere, really. I just, it gave me direction on how to take speech therapy, how to get on my feet again, how to get glasses, because even my vision was different than it had been. Started learning to walk and talk and get back into life again, and knowing that I could have a life again, which was amazing, because at first I didn't know I could do anything with my life. So then I was offered a position. They said, if you can, pull together some groups in Teller County where I lived, we could let you do some of these groups. And I said, you mean like facilitate the groups? And they said, yes, facilitate the groups. I was honored, completely honored. And first room I walked into to do a group, nobody showed up. Second room, nobody showed up. So it took a while to get people to show up. And when they did, they really started showing up, like a lot of people.
And what group was that?
And that was the first group was the traumatic brain injury group, and then the second group I did was a cross disabilities group.
Wow. So you went from being a participant
Yes.
in the TBI group, support
Yes.
group,
Right.
to becoming the leader
Right.
of the TBI
Well,
support
actually,
group.
I don't even like to call it a leader. I like to just say facilitator.
Okay.
And I had gotten polio when I was 4 years old, so this cross disabilities group really opened a lot of doors for me, and
That's mine.
allowed me to, help others with different disabilities besides the traumatic brain injuries. So I had gotten information from the past on how to get other help. Then that worked into, everybody said, some of the veterans said that came into the cross disabilities group, would you like to, can we do a veterans group? And I said, well, we'll have to talk with the Independent Center and see if that works out. So it has just snowballed up there, and we have incredible people that are working, doing intakes and for these groups, and it's just a team right now of
Yes.
really wonderful people
Definitely.
that are getting together and doing what do you call those motivational interviewing.
Motivational interviewing.
Motivational interviewing, and what that does is just I'm going to have Carrie explain that, but
Yeah.
what it does is just have people explain what they want to do with their lives, and then in the group we can help facilitate them to do that, because
Awesome.
everybody is so qualified for so many things, and
Yes.
they feel safe talking about those things in the group. They can we can give them some things to work with.
Yes. Yes, and that's awesome. Thank you so much, Gail. Thank you. Next, we have Carrie, who is I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. I kind of have a dual role at the
Yes.
Independence Center. Let me just talk a little bit about my background and why I do what I do. I have one biological daughter who was born with a serious brain injury, birth injury. She had spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy and a host of all kinds of medical issues. She never spoke, she never walked, and she taught me more than any college course. She's taught me more than anyone I know. She lived to be 30 years old, even though the doctors said she probably wouldn't make it out of her teens. Because of the care that she had from the doctors at West Virginia University, which is where I'm from. Go Mountaineers! Woo! From back east, because of the amazing care she got and the amazing care she got from her father and I in home, and all the nurses and therapists and all the people that worked with her. She lived to be 30. She passed away on Mother's Day in May of 2016. But she's still with me every day. And I had to learn, like Marco, I used to be a real introvert and kept to myself. And after Mandy was born, I had to learn to be her voice. I had to learn to advocate for her. And I did that till the day she died. And so because of her... I hate to use the word disability. She had a lot of abilities that people didn't recognize, but because of her disability, I met some amazing people and learned to advocate for Mandy and for individuals like Mandy.
Yes.
And I've done that my whole life. And I learned more from other mothers and other people with disabilities than I did from any of the doctors. And so it's really important. My peer support work that I'm doing is important, because I think you do learn more from someone who's going through the same thing. And I certainly did. And so I do outreach work, which is quite challenging when you go to areas like Bailey, Colorado, when there's really not a lot of services and you're trying to help vets or people with disabilities. There's just not a lot out there.
Right.
But I'm really dedicated and focused on whatever is there. I want to try to help the person get what they can to be able to remain in their home, to be as independent as they can be. And that's my passion. That's what drives me, is helping them to be as independent as they can be. And I'm running a women's group in Colorado Springs, and asking Kevin for a lot of advice on how to do that. And he's helped me quite a bit, and I really appreciate that. But I really want to expand that group, because there are a lot of, as Marco had said, there are a lot of people out there still suffering, and they need other people to talk to.
Yes.
And so when you bring those people together as a group, they learn from one another. They support each other. We cry, we laugh. Sometimes we swear a little bit. But
That's always fun.
It's always, you have to have a way to vent.
Release, yeah.
But then, as Kevin and I were talking the other day, when you have a problem, you have to have a constructive way to come up with a solution.
Yes.
You don't just want a group sitting around whining. You want people to come up with solutions.
Right.
And so that's what I'm dedicated to doing with our women's group in the Springs.
Okay. And where is that group held?
At the Independence Center.
Okay.
And it's the first and third Tuesdays of each month at 1 o'clock.
Awesome. Awesome. And last but not least, we are proud to have a good friend of mine. I'm happy to say he's my friend.
Yes, absolutely.
Kevin Corrigan. Just give them a little background, Kev, of who you are and how you ended up at the Independence Center and what you do what is your role in peer support at the Independence Center?
Well, my name's Kevin Corrigan, and I'm a peer support specialist at the Independence Center. I grew up in Colorado Springs and then went away to college and medical school and decided to come back to Colorado Springs to practice medicine. Unfortunately, and I practiced medicine for probably about 8 years in town, but unfortunately about 12 years ago I had a stroke that was related to a pre-existing medical condition, and that stroke really disrupted my life. I had pretty profound cognitive problems, memory problems, thinking and planning problems, and it threw me off. I was unable to continue practicing medicine. I had marital problems, and eventually my marriage fell apart. I became depressed and isolated, and didn't know where to turn. Didn't know what to do. A friend of mine who knows my background and my education suggested that I apply for a job at the Independence Center, and it was a great decision because working quickly became my passion and my own personal therapy. Keeping my brain busy and helping other people made me feel better, helped me sleep better at night, and gave me something to look forward to the next day. Very important stuff.
Yes, it is.
At the Independence Center now, I am a peer support specialist. I directly facilitate the brain injury support group. I help out with other support groups, and we have a men's support group that I facilitate now. I also participate in one-on-one and small group counseling, helping people with a wide variety of disabilities. I've noticed that even though I still have a disability and have a hard time with memory and planning and organization, my people skills have probably become stronger, and my empathy and connectivity with other people is probably stronger than it's ever been.
Awesome. Yeah, Kev, thank you so much, Kevin, for that introduction to who you are. Now, as a group, I would like for each of you to talk about how an individual can get connected with you, to come to your group, and what to expect when coming to a peer support setting. And we can start anywhere around the table. Anybody have thoughts on that?
Well, a person who's interested in participating in our peer support program is probably best off introducing themselves at our front desk and becoming a consumer or client of our services, and then they can participate in the wide variety of services that we have to offer, including our support groups. At the support groups, we have some pretty common themes that are very appropriate and very helpful. Those themes include non-judgment and acceptance. We see a lot of different types of people who come from a lot of different types of backgrounds, and it's really pleasing and beautiful to see how a group of people can get together and just be accepting and supportive of each other despite some pretty difficult circumstances that some people face.
Yes. So, and with that being said, Kevin, how can an individual, first, the groups that you are facilitating, What days are those groups held, and what time?
The men's group meets in the afternoon at 3 o'clock at a variety of places. We oftentimes meet off-site at a place that the gentlemen in the group choose. The TBI support group always meets at the Independence Center, and it meets on the second and fourth Wednesdays at 1:30.
Okay, thank you for that. Carrie, how can an individual become a participant in your group?
Well, as Kevin said, they need to become a consumer through the Independence Center. And they can do that by stopping in at the front desk or calling me directly or calling the Independence Center and asking for me. I also want to just kind of throw out there that my outreach work and the peer support work are kind of go hand in hand. So as an example of that, I was doing some outreach work in Florissant the other day and met a woman who had a TBI and really needed to connect with another woman because she said, I just feel like my life is falling apart. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to see anyone. So I helped, I invited her again to go to Gail's TBI group that meets in Cripple Creek. And she came the other day. So it was a beautiful thing to see that she got out of the house, she took that step, she went to Gail's TBI group, and then was able to connect with other people there with TBI. So it's really a cool thing when you see people who feel like their life is not, as Kevin was saying, their life has changed forever and they don't know how to take that first step. So sometimes just talking with somebody else that has a similar injury and then going to a support group can really make a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. So at what times and dates is the women's group held?
So the women's group is the first and third Tuesdays of each month at 1 o'clock at the Independence Center.
All right.
And maybe Gail can talk a little bit about her TBI group in Cripple Creek.
Yes, Gail, you were definitely next on the list.
How's that for a segue?
Awesome. Perfect. So, Gail, how can a consumer sign up to attend your group and describe what your groups are, the ones that you facilitate, what they are, and the time and date of those groups?
Okay, I'd be more than happy to. First off, I want to reiterate that Carrie is a really incredible person to get in touch with first to become a consumer. Also, we have another woman by the name of Erica Berg who works up there, and she's part of the team. Mm-hmm. So you need to get in touch with either one of them. They cover different areas up there, and they will get the consumer people signed up for those groups and tell them when the groups are. The first and third Tuesday of every month is my TBI group that I facilitate. Mm-hmm. And then the second Tuesday is the Veterans group. The last Friday of every month is the Cross Disabilities group. Those are held in Aspen Mine Center in Cripple Creek from 10 o'clock until 11:30 and sometimes 12. We don't like to end the groups too soon because everybody gets to talking, and sometimes the groups are larger than other times. You just have to play it accordingly. So sometimes it can be anywhere from 10 to 12.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Margot, last but not least, how can an individual get in touch with the VIC program?
So all they had to do is close their eyes and hope really, really hard, and I will. So they can always get a hold of me at the Independence Center Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. In my official capacity, I facilitate 2 support groups for the VIC program at the Independence Center, and those are every second and fourth Thursday of the month from 1 o'clock to 2:30. But I also understand that there's individuals out there that feel like maybe they don't have the right to go to the Independence Center because they don't feel their disability affects them like what obvious disabilities look like.
Right, visible.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do also run 8 more support groups outside of the office.
You want to run that list down?
Well, it's those support groups are more about self-empowerment, battling addictions, and taking ownership of your life. But all those groups boil down to a simple matter. Are you going to let your disability define you, or are you going to let your ability define you? Is your barrier going to weigh you down, or is it something you're going to overcome?
That's awesome, man.
Very well said.
Very well said. Very much so. So, with that being said, I want everybody to go around and let's give our contact information. I'm hearing that for most individuals, the best contact information is the best way to contact them is through our front desk and going through the process of becoming a consumer. Is that correct, guys? Mm-hmm. All right. So that phone number would be 719-471-8181, and you can just press 0, and that'll connect you to our front desk. If you have any questions that were not answered today, you could ask those questions, and our front desk will do a wonderful job of navigating.
Oh, yeah. That's Tim and Cassie.
Yes. Shout
They'll
out to
get you
Tim
where
and
you need
Cassie.
to go.
We need to have them on here next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Do.
So if you guys want to throw your emails out there, if somebody wants to contact you directly, or if they're just like very impressed or just have questions because they connect to you and your stories, let's go around. We'll start with Marco, and you can just throw your email address out there for me.
All right, so my email address is mgalati@theindependencenter.org, and that's MGUILLOTY@theindependencenter.org.
Okay. And for Carrie?
Mine is C Stark. So that's S as in Sam, T as in Tom, ARK @theindependencenter.org.
All right. And Kevin?
My email is kcorrigan@theindependencenter.org.
Right. And for Gail, the best way to contact her is via
Carrie and Erica.
Carrie and Erica.
Yes.
And I can give Erica's. Erica's email is eberg, B as in boy, ERG @theindependencenter.org.
Okay, and guys, I just want to, in wrapping this up, I want to express to our listeners the importance of peer support is to be amongst individuals that are dealing with possible limitations or fears that are just like you, and that may be able to offer some suggestions or just a ear or a shoulder to cry on. And support while you're going through these difficult times. The overall outcome is to empower each other through our own personal situations. So I would strongly suggest to anyone, if you are looking for a community, if you are looking for support, if you feel like you have the ability to support, please take advantage of all of the various support groups that we offer at the Independence Center. I would like to thank all of our guests for today. Thank you for coming out, guys, and thank you for the wonderful work that you do. My name is Daniel Ratcliffe, and this is the Independence Center podcast. Thank you so much, guys. Catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dun, dun, dun.